Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on when you are watching this webinar. This is the CUNY Application webinar. We are going to go through, in this webinar, the steps to prep your teens prior to them filling out the CUNY application. The actual application itself, I'll be applying like a student, and then the post-application steps, with which there aren't that many. The CUNY application, thankfully, is one of the more user-friendly applications I think that is out there. So first, let's get into the prep. Prior to your students filling out the CUNY application, they should do a couple of different things. The first being identifying which 6 CUNY schools they'll be applying to. The CUNY application allows you to apply to up to 6 schools in that one application. That includes their 4-year and their 2-year community college schools. Helping teens determine which schools is going to take the majority of your time and the majority of the prep, and that's what I'll be talking about a little bit before we get into the actual application. So, when you're assisting teens to decide what 6 schools they'll be applying to, CUNY thankfully has all of these great and wonderful worksheets and these publications that they put out around the different CUNY schools that can help you assist your teens in figuring out what schools they'll be listing on the website. So I'm going to start by showing you some of those. So the first thing that I would have my teen look at, or one of the first things I would have them look at, is this Discover CUNY Academic Grid. Now I'm just going to spread it out a little bit, so while I won't do the full screen, but so that you can get kind of an idea of what we are looking at. This is a Discover CUNY Academic Grid. They call it a grid, but it's actually a 12-page booklet. You'll see the grid in a second. So within this Discover CUNY booklet, you'll see here they have this nice little graphic with the 19 CUNY colleges, 19 colleges under one university. City University of New York, CUNY, is the umbrella under which these colleges fall, the 19 4-year schools and community colleges. Here's a full listing of the 4-year colleges and the community colleges. This is the actual academic grid. On your left-hand side, you have the academic programs, otherwise known as majors, things like that. And then across the top, you have the different schools that the CUNY system has, and you can see which schools offer what academic programs. The B here means bachelor's, associates, or the A is for associates, so either 4- or 2-year programming. When they have both A and B, that means they offer both an associate's and a bachelor's degree in those programmings. CUNY has a plethora of academic programs. As you see, I'm just casually scrolling down now, and our teens are going to be hard-pressed to not be able to find their interest somewhere within this academic grid. So I'm just going to go through. You'll see me just flipping through the pages here. There are about 7 pages to that academic grid. This booklet also has a little bit of information about financial assistance and tuition. This is the current tuition for this year, so the 2013-2014 year. Generally, the CUNY tuition doesn't increase exponentially or anything like that over the course of the years. So this is probably par for the course in terms of tuition. The other thing in this booklet is the unique programs that CUNY offers. I'm only going to highlight here the Macaulay Honors College, and I'm going to highlight Macaulay's because this is something that you should definitely let your teens know about, especially if they are the higher achieving teens. So Macaulay's is looking for an average, usually academic average of around a 94, and then their critical reading and math SAT score combined is around an average of 1,400. They will not look at the application if your teen has gotten anything less than a 1,200 on the SAT critical reading and math. They don't look at the writing sections. Macaulay's is great for your very high achieving students that may not want to leave the city. It's definitely a good option. They get a full scholarship as well as a laptop computer. They actually give them a Mac. And they also get a stipend and other funds that they get a chance to use. And usually the Macaulay student use the funds for study abroad. So that's just one program I'll highlight, but CUNY does have kind of these other programs. You see here Sophie Davis. They have a BAMD program, the ASAP program, where it's for those who have demonstrated needs. They help them get textbooks, Metro cards, things like that in community college, and also assist them with transferring to the four-year school. What they also have listed here is housing. So oftentimes our teens can be anti-CUNY if they are anti-CUNY because they want to leave home and they feel like if they go to a CUNY they have to stay at home. While that actually probably makes more financial sense for them to be living at home if they're going to a CUNY, that is not the only option should they choose to go to a CUNY. There are actually housing options within the CUNY system, and here you see the CUNY housing options listed. And so that's something that you can talk to your teens about. Clubs and activities, there are tons of clubs and activities throughout the CUNY system, and then there is athletics. So if your teens are particularly interested in athletics, maybe they play sports now or on varsity, junior varsity, whatever they may be on, you can see here which schools offer what types of athletics. And then finally, there are directions to the various schools, and that at the end they again list the schools, the four-year colleges, and then the community colleges. So what I would do with my teens in helping them decide which 6 schools they'll be applying to on this application is go through this, make sure that they know which schools offer the things that they're interested in and all of that. The other thing that my teens, or I would have my teens look through, that would be the admissions profile for the variety of CUNYs. So every year, CUNY puts out their admissions profile, and what that means is this is kind of the profile of the students that entered into these schools this year. So the CUNY freshmen generally have this kind of GPA, this SAT, stuff like that. So you'll see here, even within the CUNY system, there's kind of a variety, there's variation. So for example, City Tech or New York City College of Technology, here their GPA is about an 80. But if you're looking to go into Baruch, they're at an 88.8, really, if we round up, probably closer to a 90. So there's definitely some variation amongst the CUNYs. Same thing here in McCulley's. You can see that they're at about the 94, and their SAT scores are pretty high. Community colleges do not have any SAT scores listed here because the SAT scores are not required for community college. So teens should be looking at this to kind of see where they fall within the profile and whether they're actually going to be competitive applicants for the specific school. That is not to say they shouldn't apply to the school, but it helps them assess where they fall and manages their expectations around which CUNY schools they are actually good fits for academically. I'll call your attention here to the opportunity programs, SEEK, and college discovery, because as you can see, the GPA and SAT are different. Opportunity programs, some of you may be familiar with HEOP or EOP. They allow for admissions into the school or university even if the applicant does not necessarily hit the academic profile of their regular admissions teen. Opportunity programs generally are offered to teens and applicants that come from very low to very low income backgrounds, and they understand that based on that there may have been a limited amount of resources for that applicant to kind of achieve in the way that a general applicant would have who maybe had more financial resources. So for example, with Brooklyn College, they're at around an 80.8 or an 81 for the GPA for someone that comes in SEEK, which is for the four-year programs. But if you were a general applicant, we are looking somewhere in the almost 88 range, right? And that's quite a difference. SEEK is for four-year schools, and college discovery is for the community colleges. So in order for the teens to determine, and this is something that they would do prior to filling out the application as well, in order for them to determine whether they are SEEK and college discovery eligible, you guessed it, there is another document, and it is the worksheet. It is a SEEK and the college discovery worksheet. I'm going to talk, ASAP is on here as well, but I'm going to talk specifically about SEEK and college discovery because those are the ones that primarily apply to our teens, and then you can find out more information about ASAP at your leisure. So the teen would fill this out. They do not send in the worksheet or anything like that, but they would fill this out to see if they were SEEK or college discovery eligible. You see here, there are some questions around eligibility. If they happen to be an orphan or a ward of the court, they would automatically be eligible. What often happens is our teens have no idea what the family income looks like. And so this is why this is something that needs to be filled out prior to, maybe sent home with the teens, and then brought back to you when you help them fill out the application. Or this is just something that if they are filling out the application on their own, they would have this in hand, talk to parents before they sit in front of the computer in their house. So if, for example, our teen comes from a household of 4 people and they make either $43,568 or less, they would be SEEK or college discovery eligible. And as we walk through the application, there's actually a question around this, and the application mirrors very much this worksheet. So they should fill this worksheet out because these same questions are actually going to be asked once they log in to fill out their application. So they don't want to start the application, have these questions asked, and then because they didn't fill out the worksheet, they now can't answer the questions. So you want to definitely have them fill out this worksheet. And then the final worksheet that you'll want to have them fill out is the actual freshman application admissions worksheet. So this worksheet essentially mirrors the exact application online. So you can have your teen fill this out prior to, especially if you're having kind of a larger group meeting, and they can all come back with this filled out, and as they are all on their laptops or computers working through this, it should be a breeze. Additionally, this sheet is really helpful for them if they're going to be doing it on their own, so I would potentially even instruct the teen to fill this out in front of me and then take it home and enter exactly what they've put here. I want to call your attention to a couple of different pieces on this worksheet. First being the username and the password, actually. Make sure and implore the teens to choose a username and password that they're going to remember, because they need that to check the status of their application, to log back into their application, all of that. I would even advise, if you do a kind of a larger CUNY application workshop, I would even advise giving them some parameters around what their username and password should be. So for example, use the first letter of your first name and then your last name plus your birthday, something like that. So for me, it would be SOKane23. And your password should be the school plus the year of graduation. So let's say, for example, I'm at Washington Irving, it would be WashIrv 2014, because that's the year that I'm graduating. And so that's helpful because should they forget their username and password, which I'm sure that some will, they can always come back to you, and if they've done it within those parameters, they can figure it out. The other thing I'll call your attention to is the Social Security number piece. Some of our teens will not have Social Security numbers if they're undocumented. When we go through the application, you'll see that there's a little box for them to check that they don't have one. But if they are documented, if they are citizens of the United States and they have a Social Security number, they need to fill in this information, and they need to do it accurately. The reason that I advise they do this beforehand is because most of our teens do not know their Social Security number, and then oftentimes parents, they may have never even seen their Social Security card, and parents are kind of still holding this information for them. The Social Security number is going to be tied to their financial aid, so it needs to be the same so that CUNY can actually pull that information, and as well as just in general, they should know their Social Security number. So please make sure that you're clear with them around this information needs to be correct, and they need to fill it out. The final thing I call your attention to is going to be the OSIS number, or their ID number, their 9-digit ID number. For most of our DOE students, that's what it's considered, their ID number. It's usually on their transcript. It's usually on also their report cards, things like that, and it should be on their ID as well. As long as they also need to fill this in correctly, because this is how CUNY gets their transcripts. They do not actually forward paper versions or anything like that. CUNY is able to communicate with the DOE system, and they can pull the student's transcripts using their OSIS number. With the exception of if the teen is in a charter school, charter schools don't function in the same system, so at that point, their transcripts would need to be forwarded by their guidance counselor to CUNY. So those are the things that we're doing prior to the application, and those are the things that we need to kind of make sure teens are aware of. And the final thing as well that I'm going to talk about a little bit is the application fee. The application fee is $65. They take Visa or MasterCard. You can also do a check or money order. My advice is to do the Visa or MasterCard. If you do a check or money order, the check or money order needs to be mailed. CUNY needs to receive it. They have to process it. They have to wait until the check clears. All of those steps need to happen before they will even review your teen's application, because the application is not considered done until it has been paid for. But of course, if you pay for it instantaneously using your Visa or MasterCard, it is automatically ready to be reviewed. Also, you cut down on any of the I forgot to mail the check or I forgot to do a couple of different things and just less steps for our teens. CUNY does not really provide fee waivers. They actually have that down here, and they don't accept anyone else's type of fee waivers. So essentially that is where we at with pre-planning for the application itself. So just to quickly review, there are 6 schools on the CUNY application. You should use the CUNY admissions profile, even though that says Profil. You should use the CUNY admissions profile, the Discover CUNY academic grid to help your teams figure out which of those CUNY schools. They should fill out the Seek and the College Discovery worksheet to see if they are Seek and College Discovery eligible, because if they are, that may change the list of schools that they're thinking about applying to, may open up some more schools where they thought they wouldn't necessarily be able to get into. They should also fill out the freshman application worksheet, taking special note of their username and password because they will need that to log in again. Their social security number they should know, and it should be entered correctly along with their OSIS or student ID number. And then finally, the $65 application fee, prefer that it gets paid with Visa or MasterCard to aid in a quick review of their application. So that was a lot, I know, but we are now going to move into the actual application. Okay. So what you can simply tell your students to do is Google CUNY if they want to find the application. The actual CUNY website is CUNY. As you can see, it's already pre-populated because I've gone here quite a few times, cuny.edu. And this is a website. This is how it will show. They'll navigate to admissions. They are going to be undergraduate, so they will click on the undergraduate admission. On the left-hand side, you can see I'll first call your attention to the prints and downloads. So all of the documents that I mentioned earlier in the prep will be available on the public folders, but they are also available here at prints and downloads. So here you will find the admissions profile, here you will find the Seek and College Discovery worksheet, and you will also find the academic grid. So what the teens will do from this page is go to Apply Now. Here again you see the freshman application worksheet, and they generally will not have a CUNY portal. They may have a CUNY portal if they have participated in the College Now class because they require them to set one up, but for purposes of this, we're going to go with they do not have a CUNY portal. So we're going to register for an account. That is the first step. And as I'm going through this, I'm going to try to troubleshoot if need be, just like you would do with your teens, because this is live. So they are applicants because they are applying for admission to a CUNY college. Depending on what web browser you're using, it could look a little crazy. Like I am using Internet Explorer, and so instead of it being all the way up here, I have to just scroll down a bit. So I am an applicant. I'm going to fill out my information here. Just going to let it populate. Again, this is where they fill in their username and password for the first time. Oh, I should know what my password is. Okay. And then once they've filled out all of this information, you hit Save. And this is this is what it will look like for them. You have successfully registered. Now you can log into the portal. So that's what I am going to do. Entering in my username and password that I remember or wrote down someplace. I'm going to log in. And this is what the teens will see. They are applying to CUNY, so they will hit the apply online. Okay, and this is where they need to enter their Social Security number. I am not going to enter my Social Security number because it's a public webinar, but here this is where the teens would need to enter it. If they do not enter it, they will provide them with a CUNY ID that will be attached to them instead of their Social Security number. That is not what we want to have happen. If they don't have a Social Security number because maybe they are an undocumented student, they would check this button here. I'm going to put I do not have a Social Security number because I'm not going to enter mine. I am going to make up a date of birth right now. I don't even know how old, what year these teens were born in. Let's pick a year. Okay. And here, if they were known by other names, unless your teen was married, usually they're not known by another name, or if they, for some reason, have had a name change. And so we're going to move forward and submit this information. Okay. Now, as you can see at the top, it says, for your records, your CUNY ID is this number. They would also get an email that tells them what their CUNY ID is. If for some reason, and this is what their CUNY ID is because I said that I did not have a Social Security number. And this is what your teens would get if they also say they don't have a Social Security number. So we're going to continue the application. All of our teens are going to be applying as freshmen. They are not transfer students, even if they have taken classes with College Now. There's not enough classes. They would not have taken enough classes to have been considered a student or anything like that. And we are going to apply for general freshman admission. As a note, if you apply for Macaulay Honors, there are another series of steps that you would need to take, including submitting an essay and recommendations and things like that. That is not the case, as you will see when we do general freshman admission. So you would click this button here and then apply to freshman undergraduate program. They note the fee, $65, is how much the processing or application fee is. If you click this button, they'll tell you that they do not allow or they do not give out fee waivers. And have your teens kind of read this. The things that you submit are going to be final. Our teens are expected to enter in fall 2014, so that is going to be kind of August 2014. These fields have already been pre-populated for them. They just need to enter their number. They should be entering a number that they can actually be reached at. Occasionally, if they cannot be reached via email, CUNY will actually reach out using the number that they provide. So here they're going to ask if they plan to or did take the SAT. I'm going to say yes, I've planned to or did take because that would be the case for a majority of our teens. If they say no, some of them may not be taking it because they know that they're going directly into community college, that is fine as well. Again, the address has been pre-populated. And then they should check this box because their mailing address generally is the same as their residential address. Most of our teens will not have a different residential and mailing address like a P.O. box or something like that. Now we're going to save and continue. Hopefully I filled everything out right. Turns out I did. So here they'll need to enter their high school. I'm going to use Washington Irving since I used that earlier in the example. They would put in the name of their school and then search for high school, and it pops up. They would select their school, hit continue, and then this information now populates the address and all of that. If their school is not listed, there's a different set of kind of things that will happen if their school is not listed. If I had to search for another school, it wasn't listed, then I would actually have to enter the name of the school, the high school address, etc. This is where they would put their ID number. Okay, I just used kind of a random 9. Their expected date of graduation is going to be June 2014. This question here, while a high school student, did you take any college courses? For most of our teens, it's probably going to be no, but if they have taken College Now courses or courses at any other college or university, then they would check yes here. Advanced placement classes, AP classes, do not count towards the taking college level courses. This question is not talking about AP classes. They are talking about actual enrolled while in high school in a college class, like the College Now classes, or sometimes during the summer, teens will take classes at different colleges and universities. Financial aid information, answer to this question is no. Most of them have not received any financial aid at a post-secondary institution because they have not been enrolled in college yet. Veterans, most of our teens are young, and they are teens, and have not yet served in any branches of the armed forces, but they may have had, they may be a dependent, otherwise known as a child of someone that has served in the armed forces, so maybe mother, father, or in the Army, Navy, something like that. And so they would need to indicate yes or no here. I'm going to say that I am a citizen, but for some of our teens that are not citizens, they can feel comfortable hitting the no button and indicating their country of birth. CUNY has a non-disclosure policy, which means that if you indicate that you're not a citizen, whether you are undocumented or anything like that, they do not disclose this question to anyone or your citizenship to anyone, so there shouldn't be any worry of immigration issues with answering this question correctly and truthfully and with the correct information. If you have teens that happen to have an alien registration card, or they have other types of ways that they potentially have gotten here, especially if you're maybe at an international school or something like that, this is where they would fill out this information. So I'm going to hit save and continue. And now I get to pick my schools. So I'm just going to randomly pick schools. Okay. And Hunter. Should probably have chosen Hunter first. That's where my mother went to school. Okay. So when they choose schools, they should actually do it. I did it randomly, but they should actually do it in preferential order. So if they would prefer to go to Brooklyn over Queens, yes, then Brooklyn should be the first. CUNY does kind of take note of where the schools are in their orders of preference, so they should do that. Curriculum choices, and this is around what they may be interested in, and I am going to say accounting for all of them. So occasionally, oh, and there it goes. It did pop up. Hunter College turns out does not have accounting, so I'm going to say engineering. Occasionally, if you choose a certain major, these additional footnotes will pop up, and so they tell you specifics around kind of what's going on with the major. So with the engineering field, so it says here, choice 6, engineering, the first 2 years of study are available at the college by pursuing a liberal arts curriculum. Students may then be eligible to transfer to a registered program in the field. So essentially, if you want to do engineering at Hunter, you're going to be doing kind of a general liberal arts education, and then your engineering wouldn't kick in until after your first 2 years. The footnote for number 5, Baruch Accounting, it says you can click on additional information. So let's do that. When you do that, it pops you out to the majors and the minors section. So what they just have included in here so that you can get an idea of what exactly is happening in terms of your major. So you may want to do an accounting major, and so if you want to do that, you would click on accountancy, see what's happening and what's required with that major, and then you can get a chance to see what their minors are, things like that. That's more informational than anything else. Down here in certification, if you were intending on becoming a teacher, if a team is intending on becoming a teacher, this is where you would indicate that, because they do want to know if people are intending on pursuing certifications in secondary education, phys ed, stuff like that. I've chosen neither here. So once my college choices are solidified, my curriculum choices are solidified, I hit save and continue. And then this is what happens. I didn't realize when I randomly chose schools that I actually chose two of the same schools. So this actually has, if schools are the same or if teens kind of are making mistakes around college choices, it'll pop them back. You'll see exactly kind of what is wrong. So I just changed the school really quickly so that we can move forward, save, and continue. And now this is the SEEK or the college discovery. So this goes back to the form that we had the teens fill out earlier. If they filled out the form and they know whether they're SEEK or college discovery eligible, this is the exact information that was on that form. They pull it out and they fill this form out. I am going to say that I am not SEEK or college discovery eligible because if I don't fill out the correct information, I'll know quickly, as you saw when you fill out incorrect information. It pops you back out, and I did fill out my worksheet prior to doing this. So I'm putting no here, and I'm going to save and continue. This is an optional piece of information around them disclosing race, background, ethnic background, things like that. They can choose to fill it out or not. Chose to not. This is where they would put their parental information. Again, this is actually optional for CUNY as well, because as you can imagine, many people enter the CUNY system at a variety of different ages, even as freshmen, and so this information shouldn't necessarily be required, as well as having some teens who may or may not actually have a parent or guardian if they happen to be in foster care system or something like that. So save and continue. I'm not going to enter any parental information. And this is the school that we've chosen. If you happen to have chosen, if your teen happened to have gone to more than one high school, they would hit yes here, and then they would have to go back here to change it and include the multiple schools that they were involved in or that they had gone to. But for most of us and for most purposes of our teens, they've gone to one high school, and so we're going to say no. What type of diploma or certificate did or will you receive upon completion of the above school? Teens should put Regents Diploma in this field. Some of them may be receiving advanced Regents diplomas and other types of diplomas with distinction, but generally the diploma in New York State, there is no longer a local diploma option, so they should put here Regents Diploma. Save and continue. So we are done. This is essentially, that's how quickly it takes to fill out the CUNY application. If you are doing a group, what you may want to do is before students hit submit, you may ask that they call you over and you can click on the different pages and review them yourself, or you can advise that they go through it one more time to make sure that every piece of information is correct. Once they've done that, they can scroll down to the bottom, read the statement, and then hit submit. And I have applied to CUNY. Well, almost, because we still got to pay. And so here is where they would decide whether they want to pay by credit card. If they're going to pay by credit card, this is what it looks like. Billing information, credit card type, MasterCard, Visa. They would fill all of this out, hit submit, and they would get kind of a pop-out that says you paid and you've applied and all of that. Go back. So you can see what it looks like if they are going to pay by check or money order. So they would click that button, and then they would need to pay by check here. This is where they would send it to. They would need to also print their payment ticket to include with the check. So this is their payment ticket. They would indicate here if it was a check or money order, or if by some miracle they had an official CUNY fee waiver. This is also where they would put that. If a student initially thinks that they are going to pay by check but then switches later and says that they want to pay by credit card, they can do that. They can always log back onto their application and fill that out. So I'm going to navigate back to the application here. This is the screen that they would see when they log back into until their application is paid for, when they log back into their CUNY portal and their application, this is what they would see. And again, if they had chosen initially to submit a check or money order, but then decide to move to credit card, they would come back to the screen, hit choose payment options, and then choose to pay credit card now. So that's essentially how you apply to CUNY. So I'm going to log out here, and I am going to just walk you through, again, now that your teens have applied to CUNY, what do you do post-application, if they want to check up on their application status, etc. So this is the general CUNY page, again, where we started from, the CUNY.edu. They now have a portal login, so what they would do is go to the login screen, go to CUNY portal. We're going to log in again. So this would be if, for example, they would like to check in on their application status. They would log in. It's interesting, you have to go back to apply online, even though we actually have applied already. What you'll see on the screen is actually the college links now are shortened to the schools that I've actually applied to. And then if you go to apply online again, it pops me here back to, because I have not paid for the application yet. And so once they've paid for the application, this screen will look a little bit different. It'll say your application was submitted on this date, processed on this date, that type of stuff. So I would encourage teens, if they are paying with check or money order, to check back fairly frequently by logging into their CUNY portal to make sure at some point the screen no longer looks like this and their money has been received and application has been fully processed. And that is how they would kind of get through the CUNY application. The other thing that I would tell them post-application is to check their email frequently because that is the way of the world, and so if CUNY has any updates or if they need information, they're going to be telling them through email, so they should be checking their email along with their application status on the web. So thank you for sitting with me through this CUNY application webinar. Feel free to share this amongst other advisors, or if you think this will be helpful for your teens as well to work through. And if you have any questions, you can reach me at sokane@ymcanyc.org or call me at 212-630-9720. Thanks.